And now, the controversial Lower Thames Crossing connecting Kent and Essex will be delayed by 2 years, according to the government. In a statement, the Transport Secretary says this would help with inflationary pressures and allow time to take account of all views. But with £800 million already being spent, some think it's time to pull the plug altogether and look at alternatives. The connection dividing opinions. Work on the Lower Thames Crossing linking Kent and Essex was due to begin as early as next year. But an announcement from the Transport Secretary has seen that pushed back by at least 2 years. Mark Harper says the government needs to take into account stakeholder views and prepare an effective and deliverable plan while helping to meet inflationary pressures. But with costs estimated to be around £10 billion, some think it should never get past the planning stage.
We think that more consideration needs to be given to rail alternatives. There's so much freight on our roads. 70% of the goods in and out of the Port of Dover alone use the Dartford crossing. It's about time that the Port of Dover actually had a rail connection, get more of that freight off of the roads and onto more sustainable rail.
The new route proposes to ease congestion at the Dartford crossing. And National Highways has said the tunnel would double road capacity across the Thames.
Of course, with the delay comes delays to infrastructure funding, particularly Bluebell Hill in my constituency, which will disappoint people. But if it means that we get an opportunity to look at more of the environmental impact, then that's a good thing too. So I'm sort of going to have mixed views, but it is what it is.
The is now subject to a development consent order, with 2026 now being the earliest tunnelling could begin. Gabriel Morris for KMTV. Well, you can find out more about this by visiting our website, kmtv.co.uk. On tonight's Kent Politics show, it was discussed, and whilst there, feel free to share your thoughts. We're going to take a quick break now, but coming back after.
Welcome back to the Kent Politics Show live on KMTV. Next tonight, work on a new Lower Thames Crossing will be delayed by 2 years, even if it passes a planning inquiry. The government said it pushed back the £9 billion project to avoid inflationary pressures. We asked 4 Kent MPs for their reaction at an apprenticeship event in Maidstone this morning.
And it will have an impact on a number of my companies, because they were keen to get and were in the process of awarding contracts to supply the Lower Thames Crossing. So it is disappointing, but we always have to look on the silver lining. It's not being scrapped; it's just being postponed for 2 years, and that's what we've got to cling on to.
Of course, with the delay comes delays to infrastructure funding, particularly Bluebell Hill in my constituency, which will disappoint people. But if it means that we get an opportunity to look at more of the environmental impact, then that's a good thing too. So I'm sort of going to have mixed views, but it is what it is.
I think the Lower Thames Crossing is an important thing to go ahead. It's an important thing for infrastructure, for the connection, this part of the country with north of London, and also improving some of the traffic flows. I've campaigned really hard for investment to call downstream of the Lower Thames Crossing, so the roads further south in Kent as well as Lower Thames Crossing. Of course, I'm disappointed to see a delay, but I understand the reasons for that coming out of the pandemic, the impact of inflation. The important thing is that it will still go ahead, clearly just in a slightly slower time frame.
I was disappointed. I was relieved that it hasn't been cancelled. We understand the reasons why. There's inflation, as we know, has been very high, and that applies to construction projects as well. And so you have a budget, and it's gone above the budget, so it's been pushed back by a couple of years. But I'm not going to pretend that I wouldn't like to see it happen more quickly than that. Partly for environmental reasons. The Dartford crossings are very congested, and that's not good for pollution, and also for the free flow of the economy. We're a very vibrant part of the world, as is Essex, and the more we can keep things flowing, the better. So I'm disappointed, but relieved that it hasn't been cancelled.
But Laura Blake, the chair of the Lower Thames Crossing Action Group, told us the scheme should be scrapped.
We think that more consideration needs to be given to rail alternatives. There's so much freight on our roads. 70% of the goods in and out of the Port of Dover alone use the Dartford Crossing. It's about time that the Port of Dover actually had a rail connection, get more of that freight off of the roads and onto more sustainable rail.
Still here with me is Labour councillor Tony Rana from Gravesham and Conservative councillor Tony Hills from Folkestone and Hythe. Welcome back. Councillor Rana, this bridge is the biggest road tunnel ever built in the UK. We were told it was going to be absolutely crucial for air quality in North Kent, for getting the county moving again in terms of traffic. Are you concerned by news that it's going to be delayed?
No. I live literally half a mile away from one of the entrances, the entrance to the tunnel, and we've campaigned locally to actually, as a group, as a Labour group, to actually not the route not to happen, actually to stop it in any way, working with the local Conservative councillors as well. The congestion that we see around Dartford when the bridge it has issues, is total gridlock, and then also on top of that is the environmental damage that it does to people's lives, etc. We've already seen that with London, the people suffering from asthma and other air quality issues, that we don't want those on our doorstep, and especially for our younger children and the youth within Gravesham. So we're pleased that it's been delayed, but actually it should be cancelled. We don't want it in Gravesham. Thank you.
Councillor Hills, it's the other end of the county from you, but we're £800 million into this project already. That's how much has been spent already to this point. Do you think that at that point we can just walk away from it?
No, this is a personal view. I'm not speaking on behalf of my party, but it's a personal view. Infrastructure is one thing we're not very good at in this country. We always delay it, overspend, or whatever. No, we've got to press on. And as the figures yesterday coming out, we had 0.3% growth in January. They should reconsider it next year, not postpone it for 2 years. Hopefully inflation will come down to 2-3% by the end of this year, and then we can get back into normality. I do a lot of work with the Environment Agency on sea defences, and all the costing is done 2 years ago, which is going to be implemented, and now out of date because of this inflation process we're going through. But hopefully it'll be a short-term blip. We have to press on with these sort of things to get long-term benefit to our population.
Well, this is all part of the government tightening its purse strings at the moment, and Kent families will be hoping for good news when Chancellor